Welcome. Today I'm here with life and relationship coach Dr. Ray, and we are going to be discussing the people pleaser, or otherwise known as the rescuer shadow behavior. I'm a women's empowerment coach and healer, and I help women heal their trauma and unleash their passion, power, and purpose into the world. And I love talking about shadow behaviors because these are the obstacles that typically take women out of their businesses or out of their relationships. And without the self-awareness of these shadows, they can come into fear. They can be in self-doubt. They can have confusion in their life and their relationships. So we're going to go over the people pleaser, some symptoms, some indicators of this shadow behavior, and see if you can identify yourself within this today. Here's my list. So you might avoid conflict. You might say yes when actually you mean no. And you might say something like, I'm in the flow, even though you don't like the direction that something's going. You might take on other people's problems, their feelings, or their projections. You might find yourself to be controlling, and you might get nervous or worried all the time. You might put yourself on the back burner and not express your needs within a relationship. You might feel victimized, gaslit, sometimes disrespected. You might even feel like you're not seen in your relationship as well. And your mood might depend on other people's moods, and you could get anxious or overwhelmed when people around you are not feeling well. So I have Dr. Ray here to let us know how the people pleaser might affect us in our relationships with our men as well. So obviously he's a man, he's a relationship expert, and he's a solo parent. So if you can, I'll give you some basic scenarios, and then if you can tell us how to get our men to be more present, to take action, and create deeper connections with us, that would be amazing. So here's the first scenario. Okay. And this is something I've dealt with in my life. So my partner can't do anything. I feel like I'm his mother and that I have to do everything, and I don't really trust his decisions. What do I do?
So the biggest issue here is that word you just said, trust. Trust.
Yeah.
So whether we're the idea of someone being upset with you, like him or someone else, and you trusting that it'll lead to greater expansion and that he'll find himself and grow, there needs to be trust in that. To you also know that you can connect to other resources and support in which could hold that container for you and create the life you want to live regardless with or without him. It's trusting that whatever is to unfold, that you have control of your emotions and where your life is going, and so does he. And the most difficult one here is when we have children and our child is over there and there's no boundaries, there's no containers. Our children come back and they're extremely tired, you can tell something was inconsistent, to maybe the foods they had eaten, to the partner shows up late, to where there's this tension and you have to kind of spend more time with your child to kind of acclimate more to kind of your schedule and routines. And again, in that also is this greater trust of knowing that my child is experiencing the buffet of life. And he, all of us have gone through challenges, including you and I, traumatic experiences, to be where we are. And to recognize that, there's a spiritual curriculum that I'm not aware of that my child is going through, and there's a spiritual curriculum that my ex-partner or partner is going through that I'm not aware of. So the part about getting him to take action, there has to be some extreme pain point, as an example, for him to take action. There has to be some leverage where he feels like he's going to get some type of gain to where it's something that where it feels very important to his heart, and he finally does something. As an example is, I've had women come to me and say my partner has a drinking problem, and I share with them that, you know, unless it's a problem for him, it's not a problem. So
Right.
it's like he justifies, you know, how much he drinks, why he drinks, and you might even say he only drinks 2 or 3 a night. And to him, it is okay, but every time he drinks, he's not present with the children or you. He seems to take things personally. He's not experiencing himself from your perspective, in your shoes. Therefore, it's still not a problem. Just because you say you have a drinking problem, or we're going to go see a counselor because your drinking problem, he might not relate to why is this a big deal. So until he feels that it's important to him, it's really hard to get any man or any person to take action. So the first thing we need to do is lead our own lives. Because here's the truth with like pretty much all situations, and that is there's an end goal that you want if he were to show up. And that would be probably right, and I don't want to put words into your mouth, is I have more ease and consistency, right?
Yeah.
Okay? If he were to show up, there'd be this idea that I have a healthier masculine figure for my son, right?
Right.
There's also this idea that maybe I'd get some financial support or some like, you know, muscle into this relationship when I need help because I'm doing all the drive-in and so forth. So all those things you would like, whether he were to say become healthy or not, you don't know if his personality is going to change anyway. You don't know if this is who he is, or if he's just in his behavior,
Right.
or you see where I'm coming from? You still don't know. But what you do know is what you want and what you prefer. And to be in that position, that codependent position, to try to get this from your man, you might be waiting forever. So it's being able to imagine being in that state of consciousness with or without a partner and start modeling it so you're in that state of consciousness, therefore you attract it in other like people, like neighbors, other healthy male partners, to community and so forth. Not just that, is when you step into that space, you're sending out the message to the universe, this is what I want, this is what I want. No differently than if you were to say, I'm a victim, I'm waiting, this is how my reality is, he's never going to show up, I'm pissed off. Energetically, you're putting that out there, and therefore he continues to show up that way, other people continue to show up that way, and you feel a lot of stress in your body. And the one that most people don't realize is this, is that you're creating a reality, you're creating a connection for that to happen when deep inside you already know what you want. Otherwise you wouldn't be charged. So within, like when we say this is a problem, also lies the solution. Otherwise, if you're still so enmeshed in the problem, you'd be like, this is life. Like for example, when a person is like in a moment of anger, they're not aware that they're angry. They might be raising their voice, they're acting that way that they prefer not to be, but it's when they calm down for a moment, they'll say, I was angry. Therefore, they're able to see themselves a little bit more objectively. So the solution lies within you and all women. And it's to be able to crystallize that state of consciousness and how you prefer to be and model that. Because here's one thing also, when you start showing up that way, that's when you become more attracted to him and other people. It's why like probably other women have experienced when they start become more empowered, their partners start asking them more questions. They seem to be more attracted because there's something about you that is shining more light. So whether that person shows up or not, it's really you showing up and taking action for you, and then allow others to kind of fall into whatever path they're to be. All we can do is model ourselves and offer suggestions, but otherwise it's still on him.
So one of the things that I heard there too that I wanted to reflect upon was you said trust a bunch of times. So if we learn how to trust ourselves, then we don't also emasculate the man right? Because the other way we would be enabling him to not show up because we're not trusting. So it's like the more I trust myself, the more I pull my energetic field out of his field, he gets to show up the way that he wants to show up because now I'm trusting myself.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. There's something you said which is emasculating.
Yeah.
No man who is strong and knows himself can be emasculated. Because masculinity and femininity is a neutral energy within all of us. So it's either up to us to expand or contract. So he might blame you. You can say, use words like man up to, whatever else you want.
Right.
But still, if he is in his center, that doesn't matter. You could just be upset in a moment. Now, sure, other words possibly would work better, but I'll give you an example. I have a friend who loves me, but she does speak to me almost the same way she speaks to my son. And she uses this tone, sweetie, like I'm a little boy. And by far, I'm not a little boy. It's a trip. I hear this. And my biology goes, oh, like, oh, it's almost like pat me on the head. Oh, like most men don't want to hear, oh, you're so little. What a sweet little man. Regardless of man's 6'5" or actually shorter, it's just like, it's a strange thing. Like,
Right.
just like probably women don't want to be, I'm a generalization, you big girl.
Right.
I don't know, it's like general, but like that kind of would bother, like,
Right.
or wow, I love your big feet. So yes, those are conditions, and I hope to be more unconditional if someone were to say, you sweet little man.
Right.
But the point is that if I crumble by her words, that's on me.
That's you, yeah.
That's too much work for you
So
to
you're the
like,
people pleaser in that
yes,
regard.
yeah, walk on eggshells to hurt him. In fact, the way that I was raised by my father, who was in the Marines for 30 years, and how I raise my son also, is that I want him to learn how to endure emotional pain. I want him to be able to sit with that because that is life. So my father never coddled me. And what's interesting is my mother didn't either. So as an example, I remember this, God, it's so sweet. I cut off a piece of my finger, literally like just went into the sink. It grew back. That's a whole nother story. But I had a great sharp knife, like when that friend bought me, and woo, it went right through the beats and right through my finger. Like, I'm like, oh! So that night I was visiting my parents and I had this bandage over it. My mom was there and she wanted to put this bandage in this thing that looked like a small condom over it. And when she saw the blood, she's just there and present. She wasn't going to the space of, oh my God, you poor thing, what are you gonna do? She said, and in that moment I got really emotional. I went, oh my God, I am the man I am because of you.
Wow.
Like I'm able to stay calm, like I can stay in the eye of a hurricane. And what the funniest thing was cute about this, because my both my parents have passed away, but my mom's like this small Asian woman, and she's putting the rubber protector over so it wouldn't get wet. And my dad was there, like the kind of New York Jew from the Bronx with this kind of New York accent. Mickey, do this, with this kind of micromanaging her, and she's just, this is like your size. My dad lost it. We all lost it. And my dad just started laughing because, like a rubber. But it was a really cute moment between my parents. But what I really got from that was that was really cute, but was just the hole in the space. Most things inherently are neutral. So it's recognizing that it's okay if he is in pain. It is okay if there's a moment of sadness. It is okay if he or me are not liking this moment. It will pass. I trust.
Right.
I trust. And it's really trusting more of something greater than yourself, and also recognizing where you are. As an example, my son eats a lot differently at his mom's, like drastically differently, like, and it's changed a lot. But we're talking like McDonald's and maybe sometimes food at 7-Eleven. Now this is a while back, but the way I logically and emotionally kind of justified as well was, I used to eat at McDonald's. I used to steal money from my mom's tip jar. She was a waitress, and I was jacked up on Pepsis and plain asteroids. I was just, and I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay.
Just a twitch that you have.
Yeah, but I'm okay. So it's like, here we are, and if you're watching this share, you're here because you're thinking outside the box from where you came from. There's parts of you that's called to better than yourself. So whatever had happened to us is in the past. Who we are is everything. And it's trusting that flow and recognizing I like myself more today than I did before. And it's because life happened with me, not to me, with me.
That's a huge reminder. A great reminder. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
This was an awesome discussion. So many good nuggets in there. If anyone who's watching this really wants to comment or ask some questions that we can answer in the future, we would love that. You could put that below this video, and to connect with either one of us, you can look at the links below. I don't know.
This is her trying to do a call of action. So, of course, please ask more questions, and we will talk about them. We're going to continue to do this. You can reach me also at my website, which is www.raydoktor.com. That's RAYDOKTOR. Also below are the links to reach us as well.
Yeah, you can reach me at NicoleAnandaCoaching.com. And yeah, I look forward to more conversations with you and helping the women and men to have deeper connections and more presence in their relationships.
Thank you.
Yeah.